All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Generations Warpath from the 2011 Generations toy line. And yeah, this guy is still a very good figure. He definitely holds up. In a lot of ways, I really do think he's better than than our more recent Warpath. I mean, in terms of G1 accuracy, I think that the new one definitely looks a little bit better. But just as a playable toy, I think that this guy is a lot more fun and interesting. Yeah, he turns into a, not traditional Warpath, but, he turns into a little H tank here, which was, one of the things about him at the time is like, okay, yeah, he doesn't really turn into the original G1 Warpath design, but as an updated design, I think it's a nice looking alt mode here. Now, these guns on top, you can put them like this or like this. This is how they sit for robot mode, up like this, so I usually, flip them down like this for tank mode. Also worth mentioning is, infamously, this guy had a missile that stuck out to here originally, so I just snipped it off. It's a little, spring fire missile. Obviously, makes it a lot easier to lose, and for safety reasons, they have to make the missiles that length. But yeah, still, it's a neat little feature there. Still works pretty well. He also has the 3mm clip points that they were doing at the time, which is kind of funny for this part right here, because it's painted in silver, but this is still a 3mm clip point, which, if you were really frequently clipping things onto there, it would scratch out the paint over time. But yeah, no, nice looking tank mode. He's got some fun little tampograph details where he's got Zowie written in, military code or whatever, and Kapow because of, the way that Warpath acted in the cartoon. But yeah, no, it's a neat little tank mode. In terms of articulation, you can rotate the turret all the way around, and the gun itself can rotate up and down. Something that's I've always found a little bit weird about this guy is when you look at the tip of the gun straight on, it's at an angle, it rotates this way, which has always kind of bothered me. I don't know, they just screwed up the model by a millimeter or something, so this is just perpetually rotated a little bit to the right, which is a little bit weird, but whatever. And then I guess this is more just his shoulder articulation in robot mode. But if you want him to be a all-terrain kind of vehicle where it's going up over hills and stuff like that, you do have this articulation here if you want to use it. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, just for the standard one, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe. Obviously, the scale was never going to work for Warpath. He's one of those G1 mini bots that's turns into an enormous vehicle and then a smaller robot mode. So they split the difference. They made this guy a deluxe, so he's not really mini bot sized anymore, but still smaller than he should be as a tank. And here he is with our Kingdom version of Warpath, who, like I said, in terms of G1 accuracy for the model, I think that this guy definitely takes the cake. But just in terms of the smoothness of the transformation and the playableness of it, I guess this guy I just think is a better figure overall. But yeah, that's what they look like in tank mode together. You can see he's more of that G1 accurate, a little bit more of a maroony color, whereas he's a bit more of a burgundy, is a bit more of a warmer dark red there, for whatever that's worth. In terms of transformation, he's got some pretty neat things going on. First thing you want to do is just flip the guns up onto the top here if you didn't already have them up like that, and then you want to take this whole section. It'll actually untab from this section, and then you bring it down both at the hips and on this waist piece, which will click into place, and then you untab the legs, and then you want to just pull this out just a little bit to untab this tread section, and then pull that down, and then bring this whole thing around and lock it in like that to create his legs. And that's always been a very satisfying, simple leg transformation. And obviously, it's easier to get an H tank type transformer to get the tread feet than the G1 style Warpath. But that's always just been going back and forth on that step has always been really satisfying. And then for the body here, you want to take this section, rotate it down on this hinge first like that, and then rotate down this section, which will click into place in the body. And then you can rotate this whole thing down, which will lock into the waist section like that. Then you'd want to take these panels on the back of the arms and I don't know why it's not, there we go, unfold them just like that, which allows you to unfold the arm, flip out the hand, and then put those panels back into place, which is a pretty neat arm transformation as well. I like how it kind of unfurls like that. And then I usually will flip up this panel. You don't actually have to. You can just like push in the the gun there and have the head flip up, but the head's painted, so I never want to like scratch it on that panel. So I usually flip up that panel and then push in the barrel there to make his head flip up. But yeah, there we have Warpath in his robot mode. And yeah, definitely a really fun, intuitive transformation. It's pretty satisfying. He looks great in robot mode. He definitely looks a little bit more like serious and like cool, I guess, than the original Warpath, which I tend to prefer the slightly sillier looking Warpath design, but still it's a really nice looking robot mode. In terms of articulation, the head is on a swivel here, so it can rotate around like that. I guess if you want to leave the turret out, he can also kind of look up a little bit, but his head doesn't really stay in place when you have that left out. So if you like the look better of the turret extended, you can also just like extend it part of the way, just so it doesn't mess with the head. Like you can have it, I don't know, I guess fully. If you want the head locked in place, you do kind of have to push it in the way, and you can definitely see more. So what I'm talking about with the gun here, how it's like just a little bit rotated wrong, which has always been kind of irritating to me, but whatever. Shoulders are on swivels here, and then a hinge out to the side. These have definitely loosened up over time, these shoulder joints, which is kind of unfortunate, but whatever. What can you do? He's got a bicep swivel, about 90 degrees of bend at the elbow there, and then the wrists can only kind of bend upward. He's got no waist joint just because of how it works for transformation. Hips are on ball joints, which can go forward and back and out to the side about that far. He's got a thigh swivel, a little over 90 degrees of bend at the knee, and then the only real articulation you're getting from the feet is like a slight tilt forward, which is not unhelpful, but he doesn't have like ankle tilts or anything. But his feet are also kind of like rounded enough that it doesn't really affect him all that much. Like he doesn't look that silly with his legs spread out to the side, even though his feet aren't like flat against the ground. And he does still have the wheels down there, so he kind of has like roller skate feet, but it doesn't really cause any problems. And then obviously you can still use the weapon there on his shoulder. He still has, well, okay, that's gone. That's on the floor now. And he still has all the clip points and stuff like that. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with Kingdom's Sideswipe there, just so you can see what he looks like with an average sized modern deluxe. A little bit taller than him, but for all intents and purposes, he is a pretty, regular sized deluxe. And here he is with our Kingdom Warpath, the newer version. And yeah, like I said, definitely in terms of G1 accuracy, I like a lot of the design cues better on this guy. I do feel like sort of proportionally, this guy is even a little bit more G1 accurate in terms of like, Warpath. He wasn't like huge in the cartoon, but he was kind of like a, like more slender figure. Whereas this guy, this guy definitely is a little bit sort of like chubbier to, kind of make up for the, shorter proportions there. So he's a little bit more in line with the other G1 mini bots. I don't really mind either, but yeah, no, I mean, I definitely I prefer the head sculpt on this guy. I definitely like the sort of like cuter, kind of doughier design of Warpath rather than the like super, like cool action hero version from the Generations toy line. But yeah, no, they're both okay. I just, in terms of the transformation and stuff like that, his is a lot more kind of like smooth and fun to go through, whereas he's just a lot more cluttered. Things kind of bump into each other. There's, not like great clearance tolerances and stuff like that. And yeah, he's gotten a little bit floppy, but frankly, he's pretty floppy too. And this guy is 12 years old, so I don't know what his excuse is. But yeah, they're both good figures. I still feel like there is room for improvement in terms of like really, really getting a spot on G1 Warpath that has a fun and intuitive transformation. Neither of these guys totally satisfy that, but he's a really good figure, especially for the time. And him, I feel like I was a little bit, not impressed with for the time. So take that as you will. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. He's a fun toy, not without issue. I do find also that like, I don't know how much I can really hold this against him, but like he has a hard time like holding a variety of different accessories just because of how like, locked in his hands are to like this big arm chunk. But that's hardly an issue just with him. But it would be nice for him to have like a waist swivel and ankle tilts and stuff like that. But he's still a pretty fun toy overall. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers 2012 Generations Warpath.